exciting episode. Yes, so we are on our 13th episode. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. So we are here for another episode of Real Talk with Jen. Episode for you. And today, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Jenny. Yes, my name is Jenny Roxas. Yes, and first I'd like to thank each and every one of you who watched this episode from beginning until this point. Thank you so much. And my only hope is that I hope that somehow it brought you a smile, a laughter, some guidance on whatever it is that you're going through at the moment or in the past. Hence, I want to announce that this is our last episode for year 2020. We will resume next year. Thank you so much, and to all of our guests through since we started in April. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving your heart and wisdom to everyone. Yes, and since this is our final episode, we have a very special guest. I was just talking to her earlier, and I said that I think everything happens for a reason. Everything comes in its perfect timing. I found her at the right time, and I found a very, very good and how do you say it? It's a specific question that it just came to me this year. It's some kind of realization that we hope to share with you as well, and our thoughts on this topic. It's called the art of playing small, and how can we rise above this? We have our culture told us to always be humble, and in everything we do we should be grateful. But there are points or instances in our lives that we need to ask, should we keep on keeping it low, or is there anything we should do? Of course, we want to grow as a person. What exactly it is that we should be doing, or we should not be doing? And this is what we're going to discuss more of this afternoon. And of course, I know you guys are excited who my guest is. So it's no other than Miss Stricker. She is an international holistic life coach. She's on a mission to help everyone create a life they love. She has spent many years working with people and she was inspired by the strength of the human spirit. She loves helping clients move past their limiting thinking so they can embrace and love all of who they are. She's been walking this journey to authenticity for a few years now, and she wants to support others to live a life of freedom and endless possibilities, which we all aim for, right? Okay, so with no further ado, let me bring on Tara on board. Hold on. Yay!
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good conversation. So we'll see where it goes.
Yes. First and foremost, thank you, Tara, for saying yes to me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I know this will be a heartwarming talk, a very inspiring talk.
I hope so.
Something that, we need to accept.
Like I said, I just want to help people be all that they can be. So yeah, I love talking.
Yeah, Terry, you said you've been doing this for many years now. How did you start? I mean, what is it that brought you to becoming a life coach? Is this something that you want since you were young, or is there a situation?
So no, it's I was in the social work field for 20 some years, 22 I think. And then 6 years ago, my husband passed away fairly suddenly. And so, kind of what was my eye opener, or what was my awakening thing, was he was in his hospital bed, dying, and he regretted not doing what he loved. He wanted to train dogs, and he didn't do that because he thought, oh, I'll do that later. He was worried about, making the money, having the steady job, starting a business was scary and everything else. So he just always kind of put it off and thought, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then, of course, he got sick and later never happened. And so that was kind of one of his biggest regrets. And that really struck me. And I loved social work because I loved helping people, but I always felt like there were shortcomings in it. It was a lot of times just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. So that was kind of my wake-up call, that I knew I wanted to do something more and I didn't want to put it off anymore. So I left social work and did my grieving, and then started on a growth journey that's just been more than I ever could have possibly imagined, which is why I know that if you get your mind and heart aligned, and if you tune into your wisdom, you can absolutely do anything you want, because I've lived that. I'm living that. And yeah, I think anyone can do it. So it's not something that, I don't know, it's something that everyone can do, I guess, is what I want to say.
That's great. And that was just another wisdom you taught us. Like, you cannot say, I'll do it later all the time. One day you'll realize you don't have later anymore. So we should start doing what we've always wanted to do.
Absolutely. We're not guaranteed anything. And so I think too many people do the right thing. So they do what they've been taught, get the job, get the house, get the family and everything else, which is fine if that's what you want. But a lot of people do that and think, oh, I'll wait for my holidays, or, oh, I'll put this off till I'm older. But you're not guaranteed anything. And so it's absolutely, you want to live a life of no regrets, because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of your life and being like, well, I didn't do what I wanted to do. I have all these things that I want to do and I didn't do them because I was doing the right thing.
Exactly. Then the question comes to, what is right? What is right, by the way?
Great question and easy answer is what is right for you is what is right. And how you know what's right for you, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, is tuning into that guidance and that wisdom. It's listening to your intuition. And I think the biggest problem that people have is that their intuition is drowned out by their mind chatter of, be a good girl, and this is how you be a good girl. Like I said, so get the job, get the family, get the house, have the kids, like that.
Standard of society.
Yeah. And that's what we're taught is the right thing to do and the good thing to do. But that's maybe not right for everybody. Maybe it's not the 9-to-5 job. Maybe it's being an entrepreneur. Maybe it's being an artist. Only you know what's right for you. So that's why I love life coaching, because my job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to bring that wisdom out of you so that you know what you want to do. And it's what's right for you is it's what lights you up. It's your passions. It's the things that you jump out of bed to do. Not every day, because there's days where you're like about everything. But overall, it's the days it's that you love what you do and it lights you up. And when something lights you up, it just feels right.
Yeah, it's like you're doing something that you love. You cannot stop the energy. It's just, you have a lot of ideas flowing and you keep on going, and it's as if you're not tired.
Absolutely. And that's because you're coming from your passion. You're coming from your heart, rather than, I hear people all the time, oh, it's Monday. That shouldn't be. That tells me that something's out of line. That tells me that you're not aligning with what you really want to do, and you're doing something that you have to do. My kind of philosophy for me is, if it's something that I have to do or feel I should do, then it's not necessarily what I want to do. And so I try to stick to, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do, with my business? What do I want to do, rather than I have to, or I should, or this is the right thing, or I need to. Need to is a big one. we have a lot of, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, or I should do this, I should do that. But all of that's not coming from the right space, really. It's not coming from your true guidance. It's not coming from your heart.
True. To those who are watching, guys, just please type in a message, say hi, hello, so you'll be able to say hello back to you. Because this platform won't allow us to really see who's watching.
Okay.
So we can only see it on Facebook. So guys, just type it in, just say hello and hi. And you can drop in your question if you have while we're doing the discussion, and we'll come back to it. And Carol will help us answer those questions.
Yes, I love questions.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay. So our topic today is the art of playing small. How can we rise above it? Or do we really need to rise above it? So those are the questions that are murmuring in the head. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I do believe also playing small means like you are being humble, you practice humility, and something like that. But if we are really to define it, in my gut feeling, there's a very thin line between practicing humility and the art of playing small.
I think.
What are your thoughts, Carol?
I think that's good. So first of all, I'll talk about playing small. So playing small is kind of what we already talked about. It's not doing the things that you want to do because you feel you should. So maybe you want to be an artist, but you are doing the 9-to-5 job.
Maybe we can give an example.
Nope, that's okay. So yeah, it's or maybe it's not going for the promotion because you have a belief in you that you're not worthy of it, or you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough. Or maybe it's not going to university if that's what you really want to do because you don't think you're smart enough. That's playing small. Maybe it's you want to start a business, but you stop yourself because the beliefs in your head and the fears in your head are telling you that you're not good enough. You don't know how to run a business. You'll fail. That's a common one, the fear of failure. So all of those things are playing small. And so I take playing small as not listening to your heart and listening to your head instead. And not that your head is the enemy, because it's not. It's just we have these programs that run through us. We learn them from society. We learn them from our parents. Lots of beliefs come from generations back. And so when we're not aware of that, it just runs on autopilot in our head. And then we just go, okay, no, I can't do that job, or I'm not going for the promotion. And we just keep ourselves small and we keep ourselves quiet. We keep ourselves, we don't speak our truth. We get along, go along to get along. We mute ourselves, all of those things. So that's kind of playing small. And I guess the humility thing, it's interesting because I've been learning about being humble, and I was like, I don't know, I just wanted to read the definition. And so I read it, and it said a lack of self-regard and unworthiness. And I thought, that's not, I know, right?
That's not the humility that's in my head.
I know. And that's the thing and so no wonder we have this kind of dissonance between it, because the definition is unworthiness, which is definitely that playing small part. But when you are living aligned and you are playing big in your life and you're showing up in your life, that can be in a very humble way. So to me, humble is, and I think probably what you were saying too, because I know you're shocked as I was, to me, being humble is the opposite of that would be arrogance. So there's a difference between showing up in your life and being big and being loud and speaking your truth, and there's showing up in your life and being arrogant, and I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm, wonderful. And I mean, so the thin line for me is because arrogance and everything else, I think, comes from low self-esteem. It doesn't come from a place of confidence. So for me, being humble is being confident enough, but not needing to show that, or not needing to yell that from the rooftops that I'm the greatest thing in the world, and knowing that you don't have all the answers, which is okay, you know? So that's humble to me.
But I'm quite surprised with the meaning of humility.
I know.
Really?
I know.
That's not the humility I thought it was.
And that's funny because I was just saying we were talking about this. So we have this definition, and so people tell us to be humble. But if we underline things that, or we have this underlying belief that that means that we need to play small in life and we need to feel unworthy, then it just doesn't make sense, right?
Exactly. And there's also a thought that, people are not so used to accepting compliments.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh no, I'm just like this. No, 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 I'm not. I'm not what you think. It's just like this. You know,
Yeah.
that oh, okay. So that's also like a notion of like being small. Even you
Mm-hmm.
do not want to accept that this is how you are. Oh, you look so gorgeous today. Oh no, I'm not really.
And that's funny because that's absolutely playing small. And I don't know why we think that owning our strength is a bad thing. Like, why is it bad for me to go, I'm good at this? Like, I'm good at this. Why is that considered wrong or bad? It's okay to own your strengths. They are who you are. They make you who you are. And we all have different strengths and abilities and everything else. So why would you not want to own it and be proud of it?
Exactly. And what would you say, like, by thinking that way, does it also hinder us from growing and being, embracing that how we are complimented? Oh, okay. So people think that but I don't feel like it. Does it stop us also from growing to be that person that how people look at you?
Absolutely. One of the best things that you can do is when people give you a compliment, just say thank you. No, oh, well, no stories, no nothing, just thank you. Because that's you accepting it. And yeah, which is beautiful. So this person is saying something nice about you and we minimize it, or we minimize it in ourselves because we don't necessarily believe it. But one way to kind of switch that is just say thank you. And it's really hard at first because you're like, oh, but, and you want to tell a story. And so just stopping yourself and saying thank you. That's you taking that, yeah, I am. And so, yeah, it's just accepting that that's the truth of who you are and accepting the good things about you, because we're so good at judging ourselves. We're so good at insulting ourselves. We're so good at putting ourselves down that it feels really awkward to own your strengths that we talked about, or just to say thank you, and take that compliment.
So at some point, does it defeat the act of being grateful? It's like you're rejecting it. So, yeah,
It is.
I was thinking about that before, before we went on live. Doesn't that defeat the act of gratitude when you don't accept someone's compliment and you say, "Oh, I'm not really," things like that?
Absolutely. Besides the fact that this person is sharing something that they feel about you, and it's insulting, really, to go, no, like, what are you, crazy? No, that's pretty much what you're saying. That's the subtitle, is you're lying. And yeah, and that's not being grateful. So just by saying thank you, you're kind of shifting your energy to a grateful energy. And even if it's a short period of time, you're owning that as a strength of yours. And you're like, yeah, I am pretty. Yeah, I am smart. Yeah, I am good at that. And that can feel awkward, like I said at first, but it's definitely what we should be doing, because again, the choice is play small or show up in your life.
Yeah, and let's not be confused by saying we are thankful for those compliments. It doesn't mean that we're boastful about it.
Absolutely. And there's a difference between that too. Just saying thank you from a place of gratitude is beautiful. Saying thanks, I know I'm the greatest thing in the world, that's different.
That is being boastful.
And that's that arrogance piece, and that's that piece that we're all so scared of being. But that is totally different energy than thanks. And yeah, I am kind of good at that. I am good at that.
The realization, right?
Yeah.
Oh. So you
Yeah.
you can do more of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Absolutely.
energy that you get from the compliment would actually bring you more energy to do more.
And sometimes the compliments we get kind of surprise us. We're like, really? I never thought of it. Yeah, I am good at that. Or yeah, I do have that quality about me. So it gets to see us in a different way too. We can look at ourselves in a different way, which, may come up at another time. If someone says, wow, you're really strong, obviously not physically strong, but could be that too. But if someone says that and then you're being challenged, a week later and you go, wow, that person thought I was strong. I think I'm stronger than I actually, I'm
Think I
stronger
am.
than, yeah, exactly. And so it can kind of give you that boost because that's the thing is, again, our mind tells us stories and we believe them. But our mind and our thoughts are just that. They're just thoughts. They're not truth. They're not fact. They're just thoughts. So,
Yeah, it's funny how our mind can trick us all the time. But of
absolutely.
course, we want to be in control. We should
Mm.
be in control.
Of our mind, do you mean?
Yes.
Um, yeah, because control is a word that it's not about controlling them or stopping them. It's
Yes.
about not attaching to them. So it's a practice of mindfulness. It's not attaching to them. Because if I said, oh, it's dark tonight, you wouldn't have anything about that, right? But if someone gives you a compliment, then all of a sudden you go into a story about it and you attach to it. The thing is someone giving you that compliment, oh, you look really pretty today, and it's dark tonight. They're the same thing. They're both just thoughts. And so if you don't attach to the thought and you don't go into the story, I call it the rabbit hole. Because then you go, oh, but I didn't really do my hair and I really should dye my hair and what's wrong with, and then you start, I'm a loser and everything, like the big stories
Just
that you
from
tell
one
yourself.
word that it becomes a whole big.
Exactly. And that's the rabbit hole. And that's why I think the first step of kind of awakening to who you really are is by becoming mindful. So just being aware of those thoughts and being in the present moment and not attaching to them. So just letting it, when your mind starts going into that story, just stop and bring yourself back to that present moment, because that's a really good way to kind of break those patterns.
But we need to be aware, right? Sometimes we need
Yeah.
to, hey, I'm already talking bad about myself. I'm starting to say this. Stop. But sometimes we're not. You just let it flow. Keep on going.
Well, that's the thing, is because our mind has been doing that forever, for our lives. And if you think about, it's going constantly. So it is constantly running. So a lot of our patterns and beliefs and stuff have been reinforced millions upon millions of times in our brains. And so we just accept it as fact. Yep, that's it. Or we just accept it, that's who I am. I'm never going to feel good about myself. I'm never going to, try anything new because I don't take risks. We tell ourselves this and we believe it because our thoughts, have been cycling that way for a long time. So it's really hard to understand that there's something different than that. And more so, I guess, that you're worthy of thinking something different than that.
Yeah, so how do we exactly shift our mind from that art of playing small? Which, I mean, I would admit, I also, at some point, become that kind of person. Most of the time,
Yeah.
especially when I was younger. And yeah, how do we get away with that? We said we need to be aware, but what else?
So you need to be aware and you need to start building yourself up. And you need to start owning your strengths. You need to start complimenting yourself. You need to start believing in yourself. And I think the best way to kind of start doing that is start looking at that programming, looking at the beliefs that you hold about yourself, looking at the beliefs that you hold about your life, looking at the beliefs that you hold about others, and getting to know yourself at a really core level, a really deep level. And then then you know that you are amazing just as you are, and not amazing better than anybody else, which is the arrogance part, but just you're an amazing person. We all are. We all are beautiful souls. And we've just convinced ourselves that we're not.
All the time, right?
Yeah. And it's reinforced all the time. Yep.
Yeah. So do we pause? Do we go on a retreat? Is there a fast way of doing that?
No. The only way is to do the work. So the awareness, be really aware of your thoughts. Like I said, mindfulness is the great kind of opening the door to. So mindfulness practices are just being aware of your thoughts and not getting emotionally attached to them, not going down the rabbit holes, not going in this, not going into the stories, not getting emotionally attached to them, but just being like, oh, yep, that's a thought. And we start by doing that small because we're changing things that have been around for a long time in us. And like I said, I've been running millions of times. So you start by, a couple minutes a day, just being really mindful, being really present, being where, taking in everything that you are. Because your mind wants to just go in stories because it likes it. So it's about training it. It's like training a muscle. So just like you wouldn't go to the gym and lift like 400 pounds, you got to start small and you got to keep practicing and lifting until you build that muscle. So you just keep coming back to the present moment when when your brain's gone into stories, anxiety stories or fear stories about the future, then you just kind of bring it back to the present moment. I'm okay right now. That's just a thought. That's just a story. This is not fact. A really good question is ask yourself, is it true? Is this true? Is this 100% true? And 99.9999% of the time, no, it's not. And it's just something that we've created in our heads. So just getting to understand that your mind is not necessarily a fact. Everything it thinks is not facts and not truth.
It's funny how our mind can easily jump into conclusions, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And that's that programming. And underneath, so the program or the rules, I call them, are our belief systems. And our belief systems are like our operating rules. But most of our beliefs are set by the time we're age 5. So if we think of our life experiences up until that point, they're not very holistic. They're very much based on our caregivers' beliefs because that's all we really have access to. They're based on media beliefs or our societal beliefs. So we don't really have a choice up to that age because, you're 5, right? And so if you think your mind is operating on rules that you made up when you were 5. Life has changed a lot since you were 5. And so
exactly,
it's not the same game. And so that's why you need to start reprogramming those rules to make them more what you want. And how you know what you want is that, like we talked about at the beginning, is tuning into your inner guidance. Your inner guidance knows. And it knows that you are wonderful and amazing the way you are. Like I said, a beautiful soul. It doesn't have that programming like your mind does.
That's what's perfect. And hi, let's greet some friends. Hi, Sir Jaime. Hi again, Sir Rachel. Hello po. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are with Miss Tara at the moment. You might be wondering why we aired on 12 noon because Miss Tara is in the US. What time is it there?
Canada.
Canada. All right. She's in Canada. Yeah.
It's 9:30 at night.
So thank you. Thank you so much. All right. That was pretty much true. The thing, sometimes it's all in our head, but the act of putting it in action is another thing.
Yep. And that, again, is because usually we have the fear of failure. We have the fear of rejection. We have the fear of failure is a big one. But fear of rejection, like people won't accept us. We have the fear of being judged. And so even if we do have an idea about doing something, it usually goes through those filters like, oh, they might judge me. Oh, I could fail. And so we go into fear stories. But the thing about fear is Fear is not a fact. Fear is always in the future, and it's always in our head. So we create the story in our head based on what we think is going to happen. It's like in this moment, if someone walked into the studio that you're in with a gun, in this moment, this very present moment, you're safe, you're fine. What we're worried about and what the anxiety comes from is the stories that we tell ourselves that could happen. You know, could it happen? And I mean, lots of times, yeah, we need to listen to our gut instinct on that too. But the point is that you don't know, maybe he's coming in because he went in the wrong door, or he's, you know, he wants to hand it over because he found it in the street. We don't know, but our mind automatically goes to, oh, he's going to kill you. And like all these fear stories. And so, but in the present moment, you're safe, you're fine. And always in the present moment, you're safe, you're fine. It's just that we forecast all this stuff in the future that causes us anxiety and the fear.
And, you know, we talk about this, we talk as if it's easy, but yeah, we're telling you it's not that easy. It takes time, right, Tara?
Absolutely. It's work it's called work for a reason. It's work.
So yeah, I was on my journey of, you know, thinking positive. I've always been a positive person, but I always have also the what ifs.
Yep.
Yeah, and we cannot really get away from that. And it took time for me to finally, okay, so what? There's things like that, and you know, and trying to avoid listening to negative stories, you know, things that would make me feel bad. Those are the things that I tried to avoid.
Yeah.
And you know, I always listen to podcasts that gives you more positivity. Those are just a few steps. I mean, a few things that I do that help me avoid listening to my negative thoughts.
Yes. And it's not about canceling the negative, because that's there for a reason. The reason our mind automatically goes to the negative because it's a safety mechanism. It's that when we get stuck in it and we go down the rabbit hole, like we talked about, that's when we get in trouble. And so it's going, yeah, I could be in trouble, but I could also be okay. Because we don't know what the result is, but our mind naturally goes to the negative. It naturally is wired to, because it's meant to keep us safe. And so it goes to those negative stories to try and keep you safe. But we live in a society where we're not, we're safe most of the time, right? We don't live in caveman times when things were going to eat you when you walked out your door and everything. So we don't need that. But because it's still a part of us, it finds the negative in everything. So it's a matter of rewiring your brain. And you can simply do that by expressing gratitude, like coming up a gratitude practice, coming up with 5 things every day. It teaches your brain to start looking at the positive too. And so it does take time. And it's not that the negative goes away, and it's not that you're ignoring it. It's just that you're choosing not to focus on it, and you're choosing not to go down the rabbit hole of those stories.
You should practice mindfulness. Do you meditate? What are the other things? I know we said about gratitude, and we said about looking at least 5 things that you should be grateful for in a day.
Yeah.
Maybe end of the day, this things happen. It's good. It makes you feel good when you go to bed.
Yeah.
And makes you feel good in the morning, waking up, looking for some more good things that's going to happen.
Absolutely. And I think even on the best thing is that a lot of people can do that on good days, but when they've had a hard day or they've had a bad day or something's happened, they're like, well, I'm not going to find anything. Make yourself, because that's how you're going to retrain your brain. You know, even if it's, I'm grateful that there's sun today or that the sun came out. Yeah. Even if it has to be something like that, focus on that. Try and find that, because there's days where you're like, no, today just sucked, period. But if you try to start making yourself think, it's like, okay, no, wait a minute. There was this, and they let me in traffic, and I got my favorite, coffee server or whatever. There are things, we just don't focus on it because it's like, meh, no trouble. And then we go to the negative. So It's just retraining you to think that, and I know lots of times, people say I had a bad day. But if you really stop and think about it, did you have a bad day, or did you have like a bad couple minutes in your day that you then focused on for the rest of your day and put yourself in a crappy mood for the rest of your day because of 1 or 2 minutes of what happened? And then you missed a whole bunch of moments of joy.
Hi, John. John just came in. He was saying hi. Thank you guys for saying hello. At least we know that you're there, you're watching. If you have any questions, just type it in and we'll be happy to answer it for you.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we said that, a bad news didn't just happen for a couple of minutes. It ruined, like we said that it's a whole day that's bad already. It's not. We tend to neglect the small things.
We focus on the negative. We always focus on the negative. Like I said, our minds are wired that way because it's a safety mechanism, but we are not in as much danger as we used to be. And so we don't need to focus on that. We can go, yep, that was a crappy 5 minutes, but I still have, a whole lot left of my day. I had a whole good day up to this point. And so it's, again, stopping those stories before they go out of control and put you in that bad mood.
Yeah. Does it also help? I mean, with what we eat, is it also related to that?
It's what we feed our body, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. So it's always good to be mindful of what you feed your body. And everybody's different. So I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't eat because, again, everybody's different. But be mindful of how it's reacting in your body. Be mindful that, when you eat this, that you feel really anxious, or when you eat this, it really calms you. And so be really mindful of that and do what's right for you. Just like I don't think there's a right diet or the right way to eat. I think that you need to do what's right for you and what feels good for you and your body. But that takes knowing your body too.
It's like, because normally we just tend to eat whatever, and then we don't really focus on what effect it does in our body. Well, of course, I mean, if you have hypertension and you're not allowed to eat some fatty, of course, that you know about.
Yeah.
But there are other things like, I'm feeling sad today. I want to eat sweet. I want to eat more chocolate today.
And so that when you do that, that's not because that's what you want or your body wants. That's because you're trying to fill that void, or you're trying to make yourself feel good with something else. And that's where the work comes in. That's where you need to go, okay, I'm feeling sad, and that's why I want this food, because I feel it'll nurture me. How can I nurture myself right now in a more healthy way? Not saying that you can't eat sweets, because again, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to tell anybody what to eat. But if you're doing it because you're trying to fill a void, then it's not healthy. Then it's not really what you need or want, because it won't fill that void. That's the sad thing, is it never fills that.
Yeah, it's like a mind conditioning that we have, that okay, I'm eating chocolate and I feel good. I feel good already.
Till the guilt kicks in usually at the end, and it's like, oh, shouldn't have eaten that whole chocolate bar. Oh, that's not healthy. Oh, I'm on that, and you go into a story about that. So did it really help? Not really, because you maybe got that 10 seconds of joy or whatever from it. Then you got a whole bunch of guilt after that, which again is not healthy. So if you want to have the chocolate, but do it mindfully. So I'm having this because I like it and because I'm worthy of it, and not because I'm sad and I need to find some way to nurture myself. Different energy behind it.
I know, right? And it's funny, but most of the time you really have that something. Some people, when they feel sad, they go on shopping, different stuff.
Fill that void.
Yeah.
Because it calms that uncomfortableness that our emotions bring out in us. And so We fill it with, TV, binge watching. We fill it with food. We fill it with shopping. We fill it with social media. We fill it with anything to try and not go where we need to go, which is to those feelings and heal those, usually, is what it is.
So the end thing is just have to face it.
What?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, if we have that sad moments, and you know, we thought we didn't know why we're feeling sad, but of course we know it if we
Yeah.
dig deep into that. And what we do is we tend to, as you said, we ignore it. We say we feel good if we do something, we eat this, or we do shopping, or whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just want that moment to stop thinking about it. I think that's how I see it. I see it. But it's all
It,
right to pause, right? And ignore it for a time and then come back to it.
if that's what, as long as you come back to it, because that's what we do, that's what our society kind of taught us to do. Just keep numbing, just keep numbing, just keep numbing. But it never goes away. It just gets bigger and bigger. If you are, have a sad moment and you're like, I can't deal with this right now, and you're doing it consciously, where I'm going to put the TV on because I just can't do this right now, then that's okay. If you're like, I don't know what's going on, TV, oh, now I'm good, then it's not. If you're like, I can't deal with this right now because I just need some time to just breathe and calm down, and then I'm going to come back to it, absolutely, that's okay, in my opinion.
And well, I'm just thinking that there are some who really can't face it alone.
Hmm.
We just wanted to say that it's all right also to seek help.
Absolutely. It is an act of self-love. It is an act of bravery, and it takes courage to reach out because we don't like to feel vulnerable. We're scared of it. A lot of us are scared of our feelings. We have this fear that they will overwhelm us or they're too big for us to handle. It's a lie, again, from your mind. But that's okay if you need help with that. That's why there are people. And it could be turning to a friend. It could be turning to a family friend. It could be turning to a professional. There's no shame in that. There is absolutely no shame in that. That is one of the kindest things you can do to yourself, do for yourself. And one of the bravest things, because it does take a lot of courage and bravery to open up.
True. And sometimes, people tend to wait for years and years and years and just tend to ignore what's happening inside of them.
Hmm.
And some people are having it difficult to talk to family. So yeah, we just wanted to tell you that it's all right to seek help.
Absolutely.
Talk to friends, and your friends can help, professionals can.
Hmm.
And there's no stigma, and there's no stigma on coming to, you wanted to seek help from a psychologist or something. It's all right. It's a natural thing. It's like just when you are sick, there's a doctor.
Yeah.
Because some people also are afraid to go to that because I think what comes in is what people would think about if I
Yeah.
go to this.
It's that fear of judgment again. It's that fear of, and it's also, I think a lot of people think, like I said, they think their emotions are really big and that the psychologist is going to think they're crazy or, the therapist or the coach. Not true. Anyone who's trained to hear people are not going to think you're crazy because, yeah, just not. And so definitely it's way better to open up and to reach out than it is to stuff, because stuffing leads to more anxiety, leads to more overwhelming feelings, leads to more stress, leads to unhealthiness, disease in our body, everything. All of that is tied to stress. And the more we just kind of try to stuff it, the more it keeps coming up. And then we have to worry about it, keeping it down. And so we numb more, and then it just it's a vicious cycle for sure.
And yeah, and we hope that, our discussion like this would also help those of you who are feeling like you don't want to open up. But what else can they do, Tara? I mean, not everyone are, sorry for the dogs. not
That's okay.
everyone not everyone is fully aware that they can open up, or not everyone is brave enough to open up their story to someone. Some people may not be able even to understand what's going on inside them.
Hmm.
These are a few stories I've been hearing lately.
I think then it's about, if you're not sure what's going on with you, then start looking. Like, read books, talk to other people, and kind of try and figure out what's going on for you. If you don't feel comfortable going to professional, then people that you trust, people that you love, people that you know can fill your cup. Your tribe.
That's true. With all those words and tips that Tara and I are sharing, I hope you guys are able to get something out of this, of course. What we want to do is we just want to share our love to each and every one of you. As Tara is, she just wanted to help others as well, as much, yeah, as I do as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So Tara, any other tips that you can share with our audience on to avoid playing small?
I think you just have to do the work. And like I said, there's the tip of just accepting compliments when they come in. There's the start owning your strengths. Start really tuning into what your wisdom's saying. Start understanding what you really want. Pay really close attention to when you feel, when you're going to do something. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light and exciting? Start caring for yourself and having compassion for yourself. And I think those are all ways that you can start to kind of unravel all the stuff that goes on in our minds.
Great. Earlier on, we were talking about the intuition, listening to our guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times in our lives that we're really afraid to follow our heart, because in our mind we're following it's our heart against our logic.
Yes.
Is that practical? But my heart says I should do this. It's really something that you wanted to do, but it's not practical. I mean, how do you fight that?
Believing in yourself and believing in your guidance and your intuition. Lots of times it may be asking you to do something that doesn't seem logical, but just having faith and trusting that that's the right thing for you. And feel into it and make sure that it is your true guidance. But just trusting that if that's what you're supposed to do, that the next step will be, it'll be revealed to you in the next step. And just really trusting that, because lots of times we feel like we need to see the whole thing and every step along the way. But to me, trusting and knowing my inner guidance may be telling me, that I want to be an artist. And then my head comes in and is like, well, you don't even know how to paint. How are you going to be an artist? All these stories. But it's like, okay, I'm open to that. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm open to it. And then, like I said, no coincidences. All of a sudden, there's a free class that's being offered at your community college on how to draw, or something like that. And so I think if you open up to it, it may not seem logical, but if you don't discount it right away, it'll show up the way it's supposed to.
This taking time also helps you in finding out what your true guidance is.
Sorry, does what? I missed that.
Taking time, because sometimes we're just how do you call it? We just wanted to take a decision right there and then, when it's not really necessary to end up with a final decision right away.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's why I always say, and for me, I tune into it. Like, I tune into my body, and I've trained myself by being mindful of my body, and I know how things feel to me. So I know if it feels like it aligns or if it doesn't. And taking time to do that is absolutely okay, especially when you're making decisions or like you're in a conversation with somebody or a conflict with somebody, it's totally okay to go, I need a minute to kind of like gather myself. And that's okay. You'll get to the point where you're like, yeah, that's a story. Yeah, that's my guidance. No, that's a story. And you'll understand that. But it just takes, again, practice and work to figure that out.
Yeah, and it's funny how things will come to us that will put that, oh, so that is what I'm really supposed to do. As you said, when someone told you that you can be an artist and you shut your head out and say, no, I don't know how to paint. But something like there's a free class for how to draw that would suddenly pop in. So that's some kind of, when I was younger, I called it signs. Oh, I'm waiting for the sign, right? That must be a sign.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that because there's a sign sent up to me from heaven above too, that I can be this, I can be doing this.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's having that trust and faith and believing in yourself enough to be willing to be, like I said. So it doesn't mean that if your intuition tells you, your guidance tells you to be an artist, that doesn't mean you have to go out and buy, everything to be an artist. That just means being open to it and being like, okay, we'll see it. And, and just letting it flow and letting things come and being aware of it so that you do find the college class and you do go in. And that's what, like when I work with clients, it's getting them to the point that they're not going to go into those stories that take them off the path, because that's how we get off the path. And that's how we end up living a stressed out life, feeling overwhelmed, numbing, like we talked about, that Monday morning feeling. That's all because we're not listening to our guidance. We've lost hearing it, I guess. And not that it's gone, because it does always speak to us, but it gets lost in that mind chatter, or overshadowed by that mind chatter.
Because we cut it off, right? We cut it off.
Yep.
So whenever it's just about to come in, you shut it off immediately, so it's not able to come in.
What I say is our intuition is like a rock in the ocean. So it's hard to hear with everything else going on inside our heads and outside in our world. But once you tune in to what that sounds like, you'll hear that rock no matter what's going on. You're like, oh, there it is. I know that sound. And then and that's how you just know, because it's your knowing. It's your guidance.
And it's funny and it's amazing how when you finally realize it's happening, okay, this is my purpose. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
It's freeing, isn't it?
Yeah. I was telling, when I started this talk, and kind of in the middle of it, I never thought that I will reach like 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Because I just find people. I mean, I think I just throw it out in the universe that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to help, and I wanted to be able to share something, not just from myself, but also from other people who have experienced it or have expertise in those areas. And I throw it out in the universe, and then when I reach out to that person, surprisingly, so far, I didn't have any person who said no to me.
Because everything's aligned.
Yeah, and every now and then when I talk about it, it just, I get teary-eyed, and because it's something, some kind of realization that you've been busy all throughout your life, and this is something, you have some purpose to do this.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful. I think the busyness is what keeps us from hearing that. And the busyness in our minds and in the world keeps us from truly aligning to who we are, truly coming back home to ourselves and being able to tune into that, and keeps us busy so that we don't think about it. And like I said, we go through the checklist of, okay, I've done all this. But most people feel overwhelmed, feel stressed, feel like there's something missing. Like I've had countless clients come to me and they're just like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just don't get it. I'm just not happy. And yeah, we can be, I'm happy, but it's happy at a core level. It's happy at that. And that's why I love helping people to come back home to themselves, because we all deserve to feel like that. We all deserve to live that life, and we all can live that life once we get rid of the programming or reprogram our minds the way that'll align with us.
It's just amazing, and it's kind of helped me tune into that. Yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's funny. It's funny how it all connected that way. How I connected you to you.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, what we're talking about earlier on, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, so it takes time. We just need to listen,
Mhm.
and we need sometimes to, how do you call it? Not totally shut down the noise around us, but not focus on them. That's what you said.
Yeah. And just be open to whatever your guidance is and trust in that. Because, kind of like you said, so again, our intuition might be saying, be an artist, and then the signs start showing up, but then you're like, no, I can't. No. And, you shut it off again. So, and then you're like, well, why doesn't it happen? Or why can I not be an artist? Because you've shut it off all the way along. And so it's been giving you the opportunities. So just staying really open to that. And when it says you should be an artist, it's like, okay. And then being really aware of that and open to it. And then you'll start noticing those little things come up. And then you can, follow that.
That's funny. While you're talking about that, just 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
someone told me that, why don't you write your own song? And then I immediately talked, saying, oh, I can't write a song. I'm not a composer. I can't do that. That's what I said.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I started writing, and I happened to write like 3 already.
Oh, good for you.
So yeah, so sometimes it just takes us to accept the possibility.
Yeah, we have a lot of untapped potential in us because we shut it off. That's why I say we're limitless. We are. You can do and be anything you want. It's just yourself that sets those limits. And it's yourself that stops you from doing it. I'm too old to,
Exactly.
to this, to that, to this, to that but if you just stay open to it, you could do anything.
It's funny, but yes, we just have to just try, right?
Absolutely. Which again comes back to that courage, because there's that fear of failure for most of us. And so it does take that courage to be able to take that step, to try, to trust.
Yeah, and if we fail, so what, right? We can try again.
Absolutely. And so that kind of ties back to what we were talking about at the beginning. If we come with some already self-acceptance and some self-love and self-compassion, it makes it a lot easier, because our failure doesn't feel as low. It sucks, but it doesn't feel like, it's heavy. It doesn't feel as, okay, I'm a failure, I'm a loser. It's like, oh, yep, didn't do so good on that one. Oh, well, I'm going to try again. And when you have that, you become more resilient and more, it's less devastating, I guess.
We just need to be kind to ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a step in the right direction.
In the right direction. And start listening to the hierarchy, to the universe, if that's what you believe in. If you believe in God.
Whatever I call it the divine, because that kind of is an overall term for anything. So whatever it is you believe in is your higher, is the divine for you, then yeah, tuning into that.
Thank you so much, Tara. I would like to give you the floor to invite our audience. You do have a podcast and everything, and if maybe they would want to come to your program, please invite
Okay.
us.
Thanks. So you can find me on social media, which I think you put on your printout. So it's TSW Life Coaching, like it says on the screen. I have YouTube channel. I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then I also have a podcast that I do with a friend, and it's called WTF Spiritual Journey. So we do that fairly regularly. And we kind of talk about all this stuff. We just kind of talk about what kind of comes up. And you can also find me at tswlifecoaching.com. So I do one-to-one coaching. I do some group stuff. And reach out if you have questions or comments or something didn't make sense or you're not sure about something, then definitely reach out.
Great. Thank you so much, Tara.
You're very welcome.
Wonderful and exciting conversation with you.
Perfect. It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I hope that you get to say yes again next year.
For sure. Reach out.
Yes. So, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much. It's December 20 today. Christmas is coming in a few days, but I hope that you keep Christmas in your hearts every day. Yes. Keep on sharing. Keep on smiling. There's always hope after the rain. Take care. And I just wanted to give my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you guys for tuning in all the time, for watching, for giving me feedbacks. Thank you so much to all our dear friends. Dr. Adele, thank you for giving me all those feedbacks as well. And John for constantly sharing the episodes to our dear friends. Thank you so much. Sir Jaime, thank you for watching. My mom and dad for always supporting me doing this. They told me, what do you get out of that? I don't get anything out of this. I just wanted to share because I always put myself in the shoe of another. During my darkest days, if there was probably something or someone that had something like this that I could have listened to, I would have learned something. But as we said, everything comes in its perfect timing. There are pains that come into your life that are essential for you to encounter, essential for you to experience, because it helps you become wiser. Somewhere down the path, you will also help another person who was in your same shoe before. So that was the thing that's always in my head now. And thank you so much. Really, really appreciate each one of you. If you have any questions, if there's something that you wanted to talk about, just let me know. Thank you so much. And that's coming on to our episode for 2021 already. So Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Please do take care and God bless.